I think it starts on page 31.
Okay. The commission?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, hopefully it's recording. It seems to be. This is the Fairfield RTM L&A Committee on April 21st at 9:05 p.m. Call to order. I want to do the ordinances first, but we do, remind me please, when we got to do the minutes. We were just told we have to do the minutes. So, all right, so we do not have everyone for the shellfish, so can we go straight to the taxation ordinance, please? And who is, Phil, are you presenting that?
Well, yes, but really the tax collector is.
And
you're trying to get into the call.
Okay. Do we have zoning? Who's doing zoning? Is that you? All right.
He said he did that. David, you in?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Do you want to take your ordinance first?
Sure.
You want to give us a lowdown?
Sure. So the withholding of the approval of building permits, 95-27. This is a pretty straightforward ordinance. I did look into the rest of Fairfield County, and 20 of the 23 other towns already have this ordinance in place. The other two that I didn't find one for, it may be that they have it, I just didn't locate it. But essentially what this is it's stating that if there's approval for a building permit and there happens to be delinquent taxes, then that permit is denied until those taxes are paid. But there are, measures. Essentially, what it's looking to do is to say if you're going to, add a deck to your house or put in a swimming pool, add value to your home, you should be current on your taxes. There are measures in place to override this or measure in the event that there's something like a fire to the house or some type of health hazard. So, a furnace needs to be replaced, the roof needs to be replaced, something that is deemed a hazard or a health risk, then the delinquent taxes would be overridden and the permit would be approved.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah, question. So is this pertains to all property, not just residential property, correct?
Correct. It pertains to all real estate taxes, whether that's commercial, residential. Correct.
So, and again, I don't know enough about this, so if this question seems stupid, just tell me it's stupid. But what about a scenario where you've got a contractor who's supposed to do work on like a commercial property or something like that, but perhaps the owner of the property is delinquent? How could that impact something like that? Where the contractor is not necessarily the person who's delinquent.
I mean, the way I understand it is the contractor would not be able to complete the entire permit process and then they would notify the resident of the property that the taxes are delinquent, and then they would have to pay them to continue the process.
Pay the taxes, right?
The contractor has to pull the permit before they do the work, so the contractor will go and say,
yes.
I'm doing this deck and I'm pulling the permit, and he'd be told, oh, well, we can't issue it until they pay the thing. So the contractor.
That's a good question, though. Is it before or after that this would be?
This is the building permit. It's not the CO. So it's at the time.
It's at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Oh.
Sorry, Michelle. You're right.
I mean.
Oh, I was?
Yeah. If you're the contractor, it's probably a red flag if the person trying to do the job can't pay the taxes. The taxes are 18% interest.
But I think you're saying like there could be an owner of a building and maybe somebody is redoing the ductor office.
That's what I'm trying to. Right. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
So they have to duke it out with the owner to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and in my experience in other municipalities, what I found is contractor comes in to get the approval, discovers that the taxes are delinquent, and usually if the resident really wants this work that they're to be done, they're usually in the next day or that day paying those taxes.
Go ahead.
Just
Are you
to follow
done,
up,
Ken?
just to go into that. So when is the building permit in the process given or requested? Is it like, is it when it's 3/4 the way built, or is it?
No,
early,
before the shovel hits the ground.
Before, okay.
Yeah.
So everything has to be in order. Okay, so that's why the contractor would get a heads up, like, okay, red flag.
Yeah, this is not mid-project. This is
Okay.
before.
I just wanted to
beginning.
confirm. I didn't know if building permit could also be mid or.
Well, I mean, if they have to add something to sometimes you
Right.
got to pull a new permit because you say, oh, I didn't get a permit for
Okay.
this thing. I've got to go now pull a new permit.
Okay.
So that is possible, but certainly the work that's defined by the scope of the original building permit.
Okay. And to your point, it's a red flag if, also, they hadn't paid taxes and you got to worry about it as a contractor. My second question is, as we look at ordinances and consider them, I do like to ask, what prompts this? So what prompted this change? Was it that this has been happening a lot, or was it just a loophole that was found? What was the reason we're doing this? I mean, it sounds logical. I'm shocked we didn't have something like this earlier.
And that's really, I mean, that's where I'm coming from is it's a logical ordinance, and what I found in speaking with my other colleagues in other towns is it exists in almost every town in the state of Connecticut, and it's a common sense ordinance in that, if you're going to put money into your property, into improving your property, you should be current and up to date on your taxes.
Do you know why we hadn't had that for years, if it has been all over the state and it's a common practice? Is there a reason we never did that?
I don't know the history behind it. I just know it's a state statute that we're allowed to do this, but it requires a local ordinance. So we just never enacted the local ordinance.
Okay, so we just
in terms of, and I mean, Dave asked me my office asked me if we could prepare this ordinance. So I mean, the request came from him, but it's based on the fact that it's basically uniform across.
Okay. Have situations arisen though where this has actually happened, where it's been a big problem lately? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, I really can't say, because since the ordinance isn't in place, I've never tried to enforce this, so I'm really not aware.
Okay.
So we don't currently. I mean, I would imagine that it's going to be effective, and taxes will get paid.
Okay.
I don't think it's a widespread problem. It's just, like I said, it's just to safeguard, and it's in the best interest of the town to have it in place. And like I said, most towns do. 20 out of 23 Fairfield County towns. It may be all of them. Like I said, there was 2 I didn't find, but I did find 21 other ordinances for 21 other Fairfield County towns.
Jack, you good? Anybody else? I do have one question. If I'm reading it right, it looks so. There's building permits, there's Department of Health, and there's business. And it looks like Department of Health and business have you have to be delinquent for a year, but the building permit, you can be delinquent for any amount of time at all. And I can see why that might be intentional. I just want to make sure that's an intentional difference between the different.
Correct. Yeah, that's how the statutes read. With the building permit, it's delinquent for any time period, and that's real estate, building and land taxes. The withholding of licenses and permits, that is a little different. That is business personal property tax. So it's like equipment tax, furniture, fixtures, any equipment used for a business, and that states that it has to be more than 1 year delinquent.
So that's part of the state statute that you're just following along with?
Correct, yeah. And that also would involve having a town-issued health permit, so something like a nail salon, a restaurant, things of that nature. And typically, we don't really have too many businesses that fall under that category of being delinquent more than 1 year. So again, this is, just in the best interest of the town. Most municipalities have this in place, but it's not a widespread issue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anybody else have anything on this?
Just a quick one. And this, Phil, for you, is there a mechanism in here if there's a dispute, like the owner says, I don't owe this amount of tax? Is there a mechanism for that?
I mean, not really. There are basically no defenses to tax delinquency. The only defense is payment. So they'd have to go to Dave's office and reconcile payments at that point.
Okay.
The process to challenge your taxes is the tax appeal process, but that process is exhausted long before the tax bills are issued.
Yeah.
So at the time that the tax bills are issued,
Okay.
in any tax collection proceeding, the making and validity of the tax lien is not able to be disputed at that point.
How do you dispute? You dispute it with the tax
appeal.
Okay.
It's an assessment appeal. First you go to the Board of Assessment Appeals, then you go to Superior Court to satisfy the Board of Assessment Appeals. It's a statutory, very, very limited in time process. And that doesn't, and that even then, it's not a defense to payment. You still have to pay. And if you're successful in the appeal, you get a reduction either as a refund or a credit on future tax bills.
Okay.
So you're not doing it through the tax department, tax collector, or tax assessor. You're doing it the way you mentioned through court and the appeal process.
Yes, that's the process to follow if you're trying to challenge the tax bill, not paying it. It's not like a other type of creditor.
Yep.
So is this language that you drafted? It's pretty standard.
This is very standard language. We modeled it after.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else on this item? Okay, let's move on. So are you saying for shellfish?
I can do shellfish.
Okay, shellfish. We have 3 people.
Should we vote on whether to move this out of L&A?
Sure. Thank you. Do I have a motion? Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Second. Thank you. And you're taking this. Yes. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Thanks for that reminder.
Sure.
Okay, shellfish. Sorry, sir. Can
Thank
you
you.
tell us your name? Thanks, Dave.
John Short, Chairman, Bedford Shellfish Commissioners.
Thanks for waiting us out here. Appreciate it.
I read the agenda.
So you're going to run for the RTM soon? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. Who's presenting on this? Mike, are you presenting or?
I can, or
It's up to you guys. It's totally up to you.
I can start. So the request from the Shellfish Commission was to add some alternates to the commission. The issue that was coming up was they're having difficulty maintaining a quorum at some of their meetings, which obviously could be an issue for anybody. We've heard from some of the other committees and commissions about people just don't show up to meetings even when they get appointed to the spot. But John needs to get some business done during the year, and some of that business is really time sensitive. They're sampling and seeding the shellfish beds, and people are ultimately consuming the shellfish. So if the Shellfish Commission's work isn't getting done, there's a potential public health risk associated with it. I personally have a lot of experience trying to get people to volunteer for stuff. It's what I do in my own community, and it is difficult, and it has only gotten more difficult every year that goes by. It's so much easier to stay home and to be engaged in whatever's on your phone or Netflix or whatever. And it is hard to get a commitment out of people to attend 12 meetings a year, 10 meetings a year. John, your opinion was that if you could get some people into the alternate role, you might be more likely to even get candidates that people bought at the full-time commitment to the role. And then if you have some alternates coming in, you might be able to just get business done when you need it to get it done. Some of your business is based on issues that are outside of your control. So the weather, the climate affects not just the rate of growth of the shellfish, but the introduction of pollutants into the actual water that the shellfish are growing in, which dictates when you guys are sampling. You were also talking, maybe you want to take the discussion on this, that you've been doing this a while, and you've established a successful model in Fairfield that's been pretty much copied, or maybe that's too strong a language, by DEP. So we have an effective and a strong program here, but John's not looking to do this forever, and he needs more bodies in the room learning, and maybe even taking up suggestions. And the more people he can get working with him, I think the better for all of us. Take it away, John.
All right, so in the past year, we had a couple issues with getting a quorum at a few of our meetings. In the summer, it's tough, and that's when we're at our height of business and that and doing things. So I guess there are people that are interested, but they're not sure. And the alternate role is a good way to get introduced to it and possibly turn right into a commissioner after that. We did have a situation where we had 2 commissioners that were off the commission at the same time, and it left us with 5 people, no alternates, and that's right before our big clam clinic of the year, and we couldn't approve any monies till 2 days before the meeting for additional things for our clinic. So, yeah, when I first started on the commission, I've been on for 11 years. I have 6 more months. I filled out a term for someone that passed away, and then I'm on my second 5-year term. So in 6 months, if someone will replace me, not sure who, but if we get these alternates in place, one of the alternates may be the person we're looking for, I'm not sure. But back to when I first started, we had 75 permits that we sold. There were no clams in the water. We've changed everything. We have this huge program. We sell up to 400 permits,
Wow.
and we're looking to sell more than that. Figure with children that are clamming, probably 1% of Fairfield's population clams. But it's still 600 and something people. So we built this big program. We see the beds. We have an oyster restoration program. We've restored Ash Creek. We have a downwelling system. We have spat collectors. And we have a lot of volunteers that help, but we need the actual people who have made the commitment to show up every time. So a couple of extra people would help.
Go ahead.
And maybe again, it's more so for you. What exactly is the role of an alternate on a commission?
So the alternate, unless there's an absence at that meeting or for an item, the alternate would just have no role. So they could attend and observe the deliberation and the business of the body, but they wouldn't do anything. If there's a member who is absent or who recuses himself for an item, then the chair seats an alternate as a member for that meeting or that item, and then they have the full right to a member. They deliberate with the body, and
so it's not. It can be on a meeting-to-meeting basis, right?
So it can be. It's basically on a meeting-to-meeting basis. It's just let's say one day John had 3 out of the 7 regular members that were there.
Right.
He could still meet if the 2 alternates were if he had an alternate or 2 there, and then he's got enough people to deliberate.
No, makes sense. Okay, I just want to make sure.
I think a lot of boards, zoning has alternates, conservation has alternates. Not every board does. BEA, I think, has, BEA does not currently have alternates, so sometimes we appoint special additional members for busy seasons. So some boards have them, and like John said, it is a good gateway to get people interested in it and to start participating because it's less intimidating.
Don't most town boards have alternates? Because we always seem to be appointing alternates for some such thing.
A lot do. I don't remember historic district probably does.
They probably all should.
Planning and zoning.
Harvard Commission.
Yeah.
Harvard.
It's an elected position.
Can I just ask a general question? Anybody who might know this can answer. And Justin, we may have discussed this in the rules to regulate. But can you maybe put a rule in here or something like that, where if someone doesn't show up for X number of meetings, they can be removed?
I think that was one of the requests of the charter.
Yeah, so you guys could. That's a bigger ask because I think you'd want to make that uniform.
Yeah.
Some towns do that by charter. They'll say if you miss this many meetings, that your position is deemed vacant. That's a big. That'd be a big. Fairfield doesn't have that, so
You can't do it if they're elected, though.
we cannot do. We do not remove elected officials. It's only for appointed officials. So Shellfish is appointed, so it's
Right.
Shellfish.
And maybe that's something we can
Hammer out tomorrow night.
yeah.
Send a note.
But
a lot of
it's a valid,
It is valid.
I think in charter, we're providing for that, but
okay. No, that's
I know talk it does.
appointed, not elected.
I don't think so.
No, we're not?
Automatic removal for vacancy. I don't think so.
Not automatic, I guess maybe removed.
Well, there is a provision. So currently, there is a provision in the charter on removal of appointed officials. It's by the Board of Selectmen and it's for cause.
Mhm.
So there is a procedure available if somebody is not attending any meetings.
Right.
Normally, I think what happens is like somebody's not attending meetings, like the chair just says, hey, do you not want to be on this? They just resign and they just resign and just have it play down practice.
Well, I could see, yeah, but I could see like where you had a situation where, I show up 1 month, but then I don't show up for 2 months.
Yeah.
But then I show up one. So you're not a reliable person to participate. And to the point that you need people who reliably will participate.
All right, let's get back to the.
Yeah, this makes perfect sense. And yeah, I mean,
Go ahead, Jeff.
Questions. Do you think you'll be able to get alternates? I mean, if it's been hard to get members to go next week. Yeah.
Well, I do think that this is something I could pitch to members of my community. I'm Lake Hills, and I'm very involved over there, and I do think I could pitch an alternate to someone there. I agree that getting somebody to swallow 12 months, that's tough, but I'm surrounded by fishermen over there, and there are people who don't just freshwater fish, they saltwater fish, and I think we could get you an alternate.
So at the moment, we actually have a younger person in their early 20s that's interested in the Shellfish Commission, but they're in the process of looking for a full-time job in their field, and they didn't want to make the commitment to being commissioner, but they felt like the alternate would fit them better, and it would be easier to bow out of an alternate role than commissioner's role, because it goes, on paper.
Second question. Go ahead. No, thank you. That answers it. Have you thought about and can you do a public, like a remote meeting, so that maybe those 5 members or 7 members will be more inclined to, maybe they just, you get people who don't want to go to meetings.
We have
possible you could do that?
Yeah, I think every
We
commission does that.
And have you tried remote meetings where does that increase participation at all, or does it not?
It does. It's really like a last minute thing where I start making phone calls to get someone on Zoom.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have the ability to do the remote meetings.
That might help a little bit in the interim.
Yeah. It's just timing. Sometimes it's a few people at the same night. So,
okay.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Shellfish is cool. Good job, guys.
it
That's
really
so
is.
cool what you do. Wow.
I used to be in the other room though, because I didn't want to raise the hand with a selfish permit.
Oh.
Betting I didn't see Eddie.
Do it next Monday.
The whole clam clinic?
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We wrote a whole article.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
And
so much.
I'll be in touch with you.
Thanks.
Okay, we are on to the citation procedures and fines for zoning and inland wetlands and water courses violations.
Okay, so this is an ordinance to allow our ZO and Conservation Department to be able to fine for violations of the regulations. Currently, we don't have an ordinance that allows for this. It's a pretty standard ordinance in concept with enforcement. Most of the towns that I've done enforcement for, they have this ordinance, and it's very effective. It minimizes the use of the lawyer, which is good for the town because they can achieve enforcement on a more cost-effective basis. Right now, for example, if we need to enforce the zoning regulations, I have to bring an injunction action, which is not ideal because those aren't quick, and we only get fines if the judge opposes it. So what this allows us, and so this came up because I was dealing with enforcement issues with staff, and I said, well, why don't we just fine these people? And they said, well, we can't do that. We don't have an ordinance. And that's like, you don't have the ordinance. So I don't know why the town has never had this ordinance, but it really should. I mean, if we don't have it, it's fine. It means that I have to bring a lot more lawsuits. It's not the most effective way to get enforcement. Fining is because people, the fines are, they're lienable, they're convertible to a judgment of the Superior Court. There's an administrative process, and then they can just be liened basically. So it's more like how we enforce blight. I'm not, by way of example, I've not had to bring any blight enforcement cases. I've probably brought like 10 zoning enforcement cases in the last year and a half. We've brought a handful of other like wetlands enforcement cases. No blight cases because it's all through fining.
So is this something a lot of towns have?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard.
Can you explain how other towns that have this ordinance, who the citation hearing officer most likely will be? I noticed that in this ordinance it can't be town staff,
Yeah.
it can't be planning and zoning, it can't be you. So
It's usually, a member of the community, and usually it's a lawyer. It would not be somebody at my firm. It would be somebody from the community that would be the hearing officer. I think when we did zoning enforcement patrol, I think there was a local lawyer that would be the hearing officer that first selected as appointed.
okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a lawyer. It just kind of helps, but it could be anybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So would the end result be the same? Because the process you're going through now, you said 10 times in the last year. First of all, that costs the town money for you to do that. Is the end result of you doing that to extract a fine or?
No.
Okay.
No, usually we don't get fines.
Okay.
Usually so when we do enforcement, sometimes you can only get fees or fines if the court imposes it or if the judge awards it.
Okay.
So if the judge awards it, that means I have to try the case, which is not efficient for the town.
Understood.
So sometimes, if we've spent very, very little time, in most of the zoning cases, we have not had to spend a lot of time. I've had, maybe some status conferences with no hearings. We'll just simply, after there's compliance established, we won't seek fines and attorney fees of the court because it's like, we're going to try to chase.
Fines.
But also we've got to try to chase. We're going to spend 1,000 to chase 1,000.
Yeah, right.
It's not really worth it from the town's perspective, and I don't want to wrap a big bill for the town on it.
I understood.
So with wetlands, those are so often the compliance is harder to establish with wetlands. So we had one where we did get fines imposed, we didn't get it in the trace fees recovery. It was partial. And we have another one now that's being litigated. There's a very substantial compliance issue that we will seek attorney fees and fines on at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But I only get them if the court awards them.
So, does the court award, is the fines that the court sets, are they any more or less than what this would be?
No.
So in other words, okay. So
no,
the
amount of the fine is defined by state. Yeah. So this tracks what the state statutes allow them to do.
Okay. So the parallels to the process would be different in terms of fines directly versus
being applied administratively versus through.
Yeah.
It's more effective and it minimizes.
Out of the 10 cases you've had, let's say, how many have actually gone to an actual judicial decision and fine? So they've all backed down before they got there.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay. The threat.
Well, the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Usually they have decided. Decide it's better to just comply as opposed to hiring a lawyer. And there's not, there aren't. The vast majority of cases, there's not a good defense to zoning violations.
Yeah, and we're not getting paid because they're backing off in the end. And
that's the thing. Do I want to spend 1,000 to chase 1,000 for the town?
If you even get 1,000,
it's not really worth it.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Anything else?
Does this need to be two different votes because it's two different? One's on the wetlands, one's on zoning.
It's one word though.
Okay.
You guys could delete half and just say we want to do zoning.
Okay.
We want to just do. Both departments are supportive of the ordinance.
I have a question. How does it relate to what's a building fine? If somebody violates a building permit or doesn't get a building permit, what is the process there?
That's enforced by the building official. That's totally separate.
But is that a fine process or is that a court process?
Typically it's a fine process.
Okay.
I think that's all defined by the state building.
Okay. Thank you. Hey.
Yeah. So just in terms of the fine, so the dollar amount of the fines, that's consistent with what state statute, what you see in other places. Is it also common that you incur the fine every single day?
Yep.
Okay. What about a case? What about a case where, again, there could be litigation where the person says, no, I'm not in violation. Do the fines continue to accrue during that period, or what?
So
they can appeal.
Yeah, so
They can appeal, and at that point, that stops.
Yeah, so there's a process.
So there is a mechanism for the assessment of the fines to stop
Yeah,
at some
so
point
this is
during
what,
the dispute.
what happens currently is the ZEO will issue an order.
Yeah.
That's an appealable decision. They can appeal that to the ZBA, for example, on zoning.
Okay.
If they fail to do that, then it's a final order. They actually legally they can't contest the order anymore because they have not exercised their administrative remedy to do that.
Oh.
But I still have to bring a lawsuit. So now this just will allow compliance to start accruing if compliance is not established within this time period. If there's an appeal,
Right. So basically, to what you said before, at the end of the day, it's almost like this is an economic measure. You want to start leveling fines so that the person says, hey, it's not my litigate this or fight this. I just want to settle it out.
But it could go to court, though, if they just refuse to pay or to fix it.
Yeah, so the thing is that it also doesn't get you a court order that they comply. It gets you fines. Now, money is usually more effective
right.
to get that.
But
so this is not in lieu of our ability to go to court and seek an injunction.
Right.
There are times in zoning enforcement where that's actually preferable, but it's rare.
Right, but this is an economic lever.
Which is usually people who look at multiple responses.
But we have that option to take them to court.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else, anybody?
Yeah, just one last question. Are there, like, in other towns or cities, written guidelines for staff? This is Lenny Brayman, District 8. The guidelines for staff on, whether and when to impose fines?
I don't think so. I think it's based on the regulations and their judgment.
Yeah. So basically, the officers would have discretion to say, this is a circumstance that's risen to the level where I'm going to issue a notice of violation, and that which could then lead to the fine that's not complied with.
Right. I mean, our CEO is aggressive, but he's reasonable. I mean, he's issues orders were appropriate, and I think I don't see him. I think using this effectively. It's going to help him enforce matters without using me to bring lawsuits.
Yeah, and again, this is something that's in use in many other cities and towns.
Yes.
Got it. Go ahead, Karen.
And did you say you could put, if the fines accrue and they're not paying, you could put a lien on
You can leave the
property? Yeah.
Anything else? Like a motion? Got a motion? I got a second?
I've been on all three. Somebody else.
Yes.
Oh,
I thought you were going for the.
I'll take that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So who moved and who seconded?
I second.
Okay, thanks.
I don't think there was any opposed or any abstentions since we all already voted in favor. Okay. That is it for the extra L&A stuff. Now we're back to the main agenda. And I was reminded by our moderator that we need to vote on minutes. Somebody want to make a motion on minutes?
Make a motion.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah, which minute?
We have 2 sets of minutes.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's just February.
Yep.
What about March?
We didn't make committees, you have no committee meetings.
We approved.
So that's the one sent February. Thank you.
Okay.
See you, Tom.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye, Phil. Thank you.
You're
Bye,
missing
Chris.
out. So this is not about any conversation about the minutes?
I'll be honest, I didn't look at them, so I'm going to abstain.
I'm going to abstain too. I missed the meeting. Anything else?
Sure you did this meeting.
All those,
Yeah.
all good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed.
Yeah, I didn't think they were complete. There was a lot of issues that were discussed in that meeting, and I don't think they were complete, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Any abstentions? One, two.
Abstention.
So 2 approved,
3.
1
Lenny.
Lenny, two.
Lenny, okay.
All right. Can I have a motion on the golf course project?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on to the lease agreements. I have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and a second, thank you,
Wow,
Jeff.
You're going so fast.
Oh,
I
sorry,
cannot
I'm
keep
sorry,
up.
okay.
I'm still finishing.
I'm gonna get faster, in the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna get even faster.
And then the first one is I made the motion.
You said
all right.
no. Right, you voted no on
Oh,
the
yes,
minutes,
yes.
but Ken and Michelle
I do that at the
abstained.
golf course.
No, wait, stop, sorry. Minutes.
Minutes,
Josh
I abstained.
and Ken abstained.
thank you.
You, me, and Lenny voted yes, and Jeff voted no.
Thank you.
You got the golf one too, right?
We're working on that one next.
Okay.
I'm not very.
Well, I'm 3 ahead of you.
Great. Okay, you're gonna have to get someone else. Jeff's gonna do the minutes next time. All right, this is golf.
You're
Yeah.
doing fine.
Who made the motion?
I made the
I
motion.
think I made the motion on the golf.
Fine,
I'm certain.
I seconded it.
I'm right, that final do it.
And that was
Seconded.
unanimous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. And then what were we up to after that? Sorry.
Now we are working on the lease agreement,
Thank you.
and I think I was asking for a
I
motion.
think, Michelle, you,
Was that the
I
one?
think, yeah, no, you're right. It was just the opposite.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, Michelle and
I
Jeff.
did those least.
Any discussion on this item?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. So now we're on the procedural item. Do I have a motion?
Procedural
The resolution?
5.
resolution, okay.
Do I have a motion?
I mean, I'll make a motion
Yeah,
if I
fine.
can on my own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Any discussion?
It was all said.
Yeah. All those in favor, so we're voting, all those in favor.
aye.
Any opposed? Yes. Any abstentions? Did you get that, Karen?
Yes.
So it's 2 to 4.
Jeff and Ken, yes, yeah.
Who's not here?
Justin and
Oh.
Pierre.
Yeah.
Here,
Okay.
And I believe we have done our task.
Stacy, I make a motion to
yeah. As efficient
adjourn.
as usual.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is our meeting tomorrow?
And then
And it's
Thanks,
remote,
Lenny.
right? Or is it-
it's remote.
It's remote for
Okay.
sure. I think
Okay.
it's 7.